Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my Chicago Blackhawks podcast. So it's gonna be like a two-parter kind of episode, because I missed the Montreal game, covering that after the game was over. I was off with my girlfriend, so I could not be at home and do a podcast afterwards. I also did not see much of the game just because we went out to eat, all that other good stuff that, couples do sometimes. But I watched highlights, I read articles, kind of get a base of the idea, went over interviews and all that, so I got a pretty prime idea of what happened in the Montreal game, as well as I am going to do the weekly stats every Sunday or Monday, depending what I'm doing on that weekend will be when I do the weekly stats. And so I'm going to combine both of them in. So it may be a lengthy bit of a podcast, but that's why, because it's a two-parter. So Hawks go into Montreal. They're on their second road game in Canada. They are looking for 5 straight wins. And so we'll kick it off in the first period, as it was a defensive and goaltender period. No one scored. So it was a very exciting, I would say exciting first period. I'm always the one who loves low scoring games or high scoring games, just one-sided, obviously the good side. I don't like the back and forth play. It's just, it's not as, for me, it's not as entertaining. I like the suspense of, ooh, that looks, when pucks go in the back of the net, it feels more rewarding than a game that is just back and forth. That's just both goalies having a bad night, both defense are having a bad night, and it's just not. And it's entertaining as far as the offense. You see a lot of people score. You get all excited. I'm not saying I don't get excited. I'm just more of the person who likes the suspense and defense and goalie play and everything. Before I get into the stats, I'll get into a little bit of a background with me. I have never played hockey. It was not introduced to me as a kid. I would say my junior year, the year of 13, when they won the cup, I watched every game basically from a little TV in my kitchen, and I was the only one that watched it from the lockout. So from that first game, I wouldn't say it's the first game. I think it was when I heard that they were on this amazing run of points. I think they were up like 24 games with at least a 1 point in. So that really intrigued me, and that was something that I found interesting. So I kind of self-learned a little bit. So I'm not saying I'm an expert. I don't know everything from the rights to the wrongs, how everything should be placed out. So I'm just here giving my opinion on what I've seen. I mean, I've been watching since my junior year, and I was probably just probably turned 16, and now I'm 22. So I've been watching extensively for a while. I'm damn near watch every game. I think last year was the only really year that I did not watch a lot of hockey, just due to personal decisions and doing other things that didn't revolve so much around watching hockey. But I recently got back into it. I'm not saying that I'm a fair weather fan. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes in life things change, and that from a year ago to now is a complete 180. I'm always still watching games. it's just one of those things that happen. Everyone kind of goes through it, I think. I'm not saying I didn't watch any games last year. Just I wasn't a I didn't die hard into it, but now I'm back into it. So I was just giving you a little backstory behind me, what my experience is. But so we'll get into Montreal here. Like I said, Chicago goes to Montreal looking for a 5-game win streak. First period, nothing happens. We do have one penalty from Eric Gustafsson, tripping against Brendan Gallagher. The shots on goal were Chicago 11 and Montreal was 13. Now in the second period, things open up a little bit for the Hawks as Connor Murphy scores his 4th goal of the year, assisted by Strome and DeBrincat. Strome getting his 33rd assist of the year and DeBrincat getting his 32nd. It was a beautiful wrister, and this came in 3 minutes and 4 seconds into the second period. Also, I do not show any highlights or any of the goals just because I know on YouTube they have the TOS and all that other stuff, and if there's a way around, I don't quite I guess I'll look into it, but if down in the comments below you know how to work around that or whatever the case may be, go ahead and either leave me a link or tell me, you know, what if it's all right for me just to put the clips up and kind of talk through it. Now at 7:56, Paul Byron gets a slashing on Gustav Forsling that is shortly negated at 9:13 against Jonathan Toews has a hooking call against Joel Armada, I think. It's a hard name. Okay, I'm not very good with names that I'm not familiar with. But that kills off the Blackhawks power play. Then at 14:56, after the Hawks kill that off, Donovan Cahoon gets a hooking call on Andrew Shaw, which later on is negated at 16:48 by Max Domi when he gets a high stick on Slater Cuckoo. Hawks do not cash in on a power play, and the Canadians do not cash in on their power play. So everyone is perfect in the shorthanded category. Shots on goal that period were 8-17. So with Carey Price only giving up 1 goal, Corey Crawford is still perfect. He has faced a decent amount of shots already. I know watching through the highlights and interviews, there was a couple rebounds Crawford gave out. It's not like it was easy for him to retain those rebounds. He's normally decent at retaining the rebounds in front of him. I know when he goes behind the net, I know some people hold their breath. I know I do. Just that's how he plays, and that's just the style. I think he's recently gotten better at that. I know when he first came back from injury, he mistimed one and one went in the back of the net, but that's just timing issues. I think not playing with everyone, not practicing enough with everyone to understand how everyone works is just an issue that he will work through. But then in the third period, at 4 minutes and 49 seconds into the game, Brendan Perlini scores his 13th of the year, assisted by DeBrincat and Slater Cuckoo. DeBrincat gets his 33rd of the assist of the year, and Cuckoo gets his 4th assist of the year. But I don't know why I have these flip-flopped. But 36 seconds into the game, or in the third period, Jonathan Toews has a slashing on Brendan Gallagher. They don't cash in, so PK did a perfect job this game. They did basically perfect, except that one penalty in Toronto where Toronto turned around and scored within like 30 seconds of having that power play. So the shots on goal that period were 5-18. Hawks had 5. Canadians had 18. So you're starting to see it was Jeremy Collinton was saying that they kind of lost the defense and everyone in offense kind of lost focus there. I would say halfway through the second and halfway through the third, but then they finally picked it back up. That's just an issue. They have to play all 60 minutes of a game to beat the teams that they're going to need to beat. They can't really take any nights off. I mean, recently it's been beginning of the year, it was they come out really slow and they try to fight their way back, but they're already down by 4 goals. They have to score 5-6 goals in the third period in order to win a game, and that's just something that they've been trailing a lot. I always like when I watch NBCSN Chicago or NBCSN any NBC, they normally tell you what their record is when scoring the first goal, when leading into the third period, what their records are like. And when you see the Hawks only, they score the first goal, or the times that they haven't scored the first goal, like they only win 8-10 of those games. But when they score the first goal, they are winning, well above 500 in that category. They were also, I think the last time I remembered, I would have to kind of go back and look at that statistic now, since they've had 3 games. Well, 2 games. No, 3 if you count the Dallas game. The Montreal game kind of negates what I'm talking about. Not Montreal, the Toronto game negates what I'm talking about, and that is if they give up one goal or less, or 2 goals or less, they're significantly better. I think that now they will be like 12-1-1. So that's a big key into it. They have the offensive power to maintain a shootout game, but it doesn't always have to be that way. And the defense is slowly becoming better at that. But I think that having Corey Crawford in the back of the net is a decent thing that has happened to them. So I just think the team plays better with him in the back of the net. I don't know why that is, or if it's just that he sees things differently. He covers the puck up when need be. I mean, don't get me wrong, Cam Ward has done very well for us, but it shows in the game at San Jose when Crawford got that concussion. They were winning. No, I think that was like 1 goal, but they were winning big, and then Crawford goes out with concussion, and then everything just kind of went sour. But yet again, after that, Cam Ward came in, and he talked, kind of been a leadership role, and they went on that great month span where they were, got up to 8 wins in a row. They weren't losing constantly. They were winning. They were, fighting back and forth in games. But that's just, I think it was short-lived. I think it was still a lot of the offense was finding their footing there for a second. The power play was unbelievable. I mean, they were going from dead last in the league up to, I think the highest they got was like 7. But the biggest issue has been their penalty kill, which is seeming to improve. So tell me in the comments below what you think is the most important special team. Is it the power play or is it the penalty kill? My eyes, it's definitely the penalty kill. I mean, not all the time are you going to face teams where they're going to give you a ton of power play opportunities. I mean, they work hand in hand. I think if you get a power play opportunity, you need to cash it in. But if you're a team, like the Hawks have been, like, recent year, I mean, prior to this year, they weren't really heavy on the penalties, even though it seems like they would have, a team that would cause a lot of penalties, with a Andrew Shaw. I mean, he hasn't been with the team for a while, but like an Andrew Shaw, you had some of those, I want to say dirty players, but hard-working players that caused a lot of commotion. But yet again, they were never really in situations where they had to commit penalties all the time. But when you're constantly losing games when you're constantly turning the puck over, you're constantly getting pucks taken away from you, that's when things kind of go sour. And so they've been causing a lot more penalties as a result of that. Not saying that the team is undisciplined, it's that they're causing themselves to run into issues like that. But so that is my kind of point of view from the game. We will get into the total stats and kind of break those down a little bit. So shots on goal for Chicago was 24, face-off percentage 54%, power play was 0 for 2, and they had 8 penalty minutes, 15 hits, 24 blocks, and 11 giveaways. Now the shots on goal, recently especially in the Toronto game, the reason pucks were going in the back of the net was they were shooting. They just took it and they shot it, and sometimes good things happen. I mean, looking at our shots versus Montreal's blocks, that just means we were trying to pass the puck too much. I remember when I tuned in like 5 minutes left in the game, and who was I know Sekura was with him. Was it Nisimov? I'm not quite sure who it was, but it was a 2-on-0. And I understand Sekura has not scored a goal yet, but they were passing. Someone had to put the puck in the back of the net. I mean, yeah, a 2-0 lead with 5 minutes left. Okay, that's good, but what's better than a 2-0 is a 3-0 lead. That way, if something were to break down, you still have that 2-goal cushion, not a 1-goal cushion where you're like you're in panic mode. Obviously, everything turned out for the best, but it's just one of those, 24 shots is chump change to some goalies. I mean, I would like to see that number in the higher 20s, mid 30s to kind of average that out. Face-offs, those go either way. Sometimes sometimes the face-off dot's not. I not saying that Jonathan Toews, he used to be I mean, one guy you could really, 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 really count on in key situations and face-offs. But recent games, I would say, like this week, I would say he a little slower on that side of things. He wasn't as demanding or got a lot of the good face-offs. He hasn't had a lot of good face-off wins, especially in Toronto. He was very lacking in that situation, which, people have off nights or off weeks in the face-off dot, but that's just something, he's known for being one of the top people in the face-off. I'm not saying that he's not in the top of the face-offs now. I'm just talking this week has been the downside a little bit. But block shots is that's good. I've seen there's a lot that don't get counted as block shots. If it hits the stick, it has to hit the body for it in order to be a block shot. But that number means the defense, forwards are getting in the shooting lanes and taking those opportunities away. I mean, just imagine even if they only got half of those block shots, that's down to 12 block shots, but that's 12 extra shots on goal. That 12 shots that Crawford would have had to made through a screen, or it would have been difficult for him to see the puck. So that means people are getting the shooting lanes. It also means that people are down playing in front of the crease to push people out of the way, so Crawford can get a good side on things. It's been an overall team effort, and that's what's been lacking, is an overall team. It seemed like a lot of individual. It seemed like it was offense would do their thing and defense would struggle, or defense would struggle and defense would do decent, but then you have the forwards who turn the puck over. There's a lot of things that go into it. Remember early in the year, I didn't really like Gustafsson or Murphy. They kept turning the puck over. They weren't passing the puck where it needed to be, where it needed to go. but then they kind of turned that, they turned that around a little bit. Gustafson comes on, he had that good 2 week span where he was, scoring goals, getting assists, all that. Murphy's kind of coming into his own. But Forsland, I think German talented. Oh, he was talking about Dahlstrom. Uh, he's starting to come into the player that he needs, or whatever the case may be. But the young defensemen are kind of starting to learn. The pairings have been a little better. It's a work in progress, and it's just something to look forward in the future, and it's a bright future. I'm not saying it's a deep dark crevice of always being in the bottom of the league, being the laughing stock. It's not going to happen. We got young talent, and that's going to come in a big way to us. So, going on Montreal's side, they had 48 shots, 46 in the face-off dot, 0 for 4 on power plays, 4 penalty minutes, 29 hits, 11 block shots, and 14 giveaways. That was another thing that, going into this game, it wasn't so much that I was afraid that they were going to score goals. It was the physical play. The Hawks can't match the physical play. They never really were a team, a physical team to match that. But I've been surprised recently seeing Kane hit people more, which, I'm not saying, shouldn't say just go out flat out hitting people. He gets more into contact of things, but sometimes he doesn't. I know it's not his style, but it's showing that the more competitive side to him that I haven't seen in recent years. He's getting older. I think, he believes in the team. And that's what it takes, the older guys to believe in the younger guys, and the younger guys to buy into what the older guys are saying, and also buy in what the coach is saying. It's a good thing, Joe Quenneville, a really good job for us. He did a very, very, very good job for us. Obviously, winning 3 cups is phenomenal. I think that it's just a time. It's a time for a change, and I forget. I think it was Babcock. I'm not quite sure, or the GM of the Detroit Red Wings. They said, when you're a coach of a professional sport and you've been there for 10 years, when you still have some of those players that you've had, since they were rookies, and you've been there for that long, the things that they say come dull and bland, and it's gray. It's not a new vibrant new saying. It's just one of those things that I think it turns into a coaching thing that no matter how good a coach is, it's all depending on if the players buy into. I'm not saying that the Hawks weren't buying into what Quenneville was saying. It's just it comes tedious. It's preached every day. I don't know. Quenneville's an older, not older guy, but I'm saying he's from a different generation, especially from the Winter Classic game. Cam Ward wasn't doing so hot, and Colin Delia was, but Cam Ward still started, and that was because Collinson said, well, this means more. This would mean more to Cam Ward than maybe. I'm not saying it wouldn't mean much to Delia, but Ward's been in the league for how long? It's a respect factor. Right? He did it with Kunitz. He played his 1000th game. Did he play his 1000th game against Pittsburgh? No, he didn't. But he would start every game against Pittsburgh. The 2 games he started, those 2 games. Who was another? I can't think of the other older player's name. And he respects the level of which the guys are playing from. So those are those stats. I'll get into Chicago's leaders. I do time on ice, blocks, most block shots, most hits, most shot on goals, and face-off percentage. The Hawks, their time on ice leader would have been Connor Murphy at 22-32. Connor Murphy and Slater Cuckoo both had 4 block shots. Hits, Connor Murphy had 4 hits. Shots on goal was Dylan Sekura, and face-off percentage was 75, was Artem Misumov. Then Montreal's was Jeff Petrie, 25-28 as total ice leader. Jeff Petrie as the block shot leader at 3. Andrew Shaw had 7 hits. Shots on goal was Paul Byron, and faceoff percentage at 67% was Nate Thompson. The one person that surprised me out of all of this was the shots on goal by Dylan Secure. I mean, I'm wishing every day that he would end up scoring a goal. He's been close so many different times, and it just hasn't panned out, but he just got to keep trying, and the effort's there. I see it. He wants it, but it's just a matter of you'll get your opportunity, and it'll go in. He could become a decent... I'm not saying he's going to be that person that's going to score 20, 30 goals a year. I think he's going to be a person that may score those, goals that are going to need to be scoring. He kind of reminds me of like an Andrew Shaw. He didn't score much, but, he was someone who would get in someone's face. Just that he'll get his opportunity. He's still young. It's just that his opportunities will get there. We'll go into the goalie stats. Corey Crawford, 48 saves, 48 shots at 1,000 save percentage. Carey Price had 22 saves, 24 shots against, and with a 9.17 save percentage and giving up 2 goals. The 3 stars of the game: Corey Crawford at 1, Alex DeBrincat at 2, and Carey Price at 3. Overall, the game, it's a relief. When I sit down and watch a game, the game's 0-0. I'm always rooting for the goalie to get a shutout. I'm always, no matter who's in net, I want them to get a shutout. It's that if they get a shutout, that means it was a team effort. The goalie had to make their great save, but the defense was there to help them out. And when I say defense, I mean the whole team as a whole. Your defensemen, your wingers, your centers. It takes everyone for a goalie to get a shutout. Unlike in a baseball game or whatever, if in a baseball game, you could, unless a pitcher can be just absolutely phenomenal and no one would touch the ball. And that's not saying that's going to happen, but someone's going to hit that. I mean, it's a team effort, but not as big as a team effort in hockey. If a pitcher gets a perfect game. But a goalie has to make the right saves at the right time and also have people there to help clear everything out. It was just overall, me looking back on the 3 stars, definitely Corey Crawford, but I wouldn't have given Carey Price the 3rd star. I mean, 24 shots against. It's Carey Price. I mean, everyone knows who Carey Price is. That's something that, those saves, I understand why it is what it is, but I would have given it to someone else. But, I mean, looking back over the stats, I kind of understand it. But it's just one of those. It's 2 goals against at 24 shots. Now, if it was, if it was up in the 30s, I would say, okay, I understand that. But just looking back, I think someone else should have gotten that. But if you disagree, let me know. And if you do agree, who would have been that 3rd star instead of Carey Price? So that will do it for the first segment of this podcast of the game review. So I'm not gonna make this too lengthy. I would want to make this second portion of it like about an hour long, but since I'm already gonna take about a half hour of your day already, I will try to trim this down to about 30 minutes so that you're not spending your whole day sitting here an hour and a half out of your day watching a guy on the computer talk about hockey, which let's get real. It's just like radio, right? You can just plug your phone in Bluetooth and listen to me, right? You can do that. I'm just kidding. Not your computer, but your phone, all that other good stuff. But anyways, so we will start at Arizona. Let me get my phone real quick so I can. I'm only gonna do from Sunday to Sunday. So with it, with there only being 3 games this week, I know there's just Sunday to Sunday, so you get the point. Also, quick update. Next week I'm going to the Hawks game at Colorado. Not at Colorado, but at United Center. Girlfriend got me VIP tickets, so I'll be up close to the glass there. But that game won't. The review and the weekly update won't come until Tuesday. I will do the recording, the live stream of that Monday, but that won't be up on YouTube until Tuesday. The Saturday game against Colorado, I will be doing that after game, so I won't try to have too much of a pile up there as far as videos go. But starting out at March 11th, we go to Arizona comes to us, and I will go over the goals that occurred in that game just for the Hawks. I'm not going into a full game stat. I'm just kind of going over what the Hawks did and what I think of the game. Perlini had 3 goals, his first hat trick on his NHL career against his former team, which probably felt really good for him. I know if I did that, I would feel, I would just be happy to score a goal or at least know how to skate properly. So, then Chris Kunitz gets 1, Jonathan Taves gets 1, Brandon Saad gets 1, and Patrick Kane gets 1 as well. Now the assist, Connor Murphy has 1, Brent Seabrook has 1, Alex Brinkett has 2, Anisimov has 1, Marcus Kruger has 1, Dylan Strome has 1, Jonathan Taves has 1, Dominic Cahoon has 2, Eric Gustafson has 1, David Camp also has 1. The power play was 0 for 1, and the penalty kill was 2 for 2. Going into the goalie stats, Crawford had 24 saves, 25 shots, a 9.60 save percentage, and 1 goal against. The hit leader was Brent Seabrook at 4, and time of ice leader was Eric Gustafson at 23-21. So, looking back at that game, right now, Arizona's sitting in that second wild card spot. And we see them at least one more time. I believe it's at Arizona as well. But I don't know if it was just an off day for Arizona. Whatever the case may be with them, it was just an onslaught of just goals going to the back of the net. I mean, I just think that something with the emotions, especially with Strome and Perlini facing their former team. So that's kind of an emotional thing. I know they'll go back to Arizona, so that's even going to probably be more emotional. So I hope they'll have a big game out of that. I think everyone will kind of rally together. I know it's playoff push time, and it's seeming like they are wanting to make that push. It doesn't seem like they're laying down. They realize, hey, it's crunch time now. We gotta win these games. And I don't think this team. If this team was like this all year, I wouldn't say that they wouldn't. I believe that they are a playoff team at heart, and on paper, it's just that they didn't find their groove until late. and it's just kind of hard to, regain that step. Some teams come out in the first half of the season and they're on top of the world, all this other stuff, and they start to slip a little bit, but you don't see them slide so far down because they don't have to climb. As you gain all that momentum, and by the time you get ready for the playoff push, you're not crunching to win games. I mean, you're crunching to win games, but you're not totally, you have to win all these games and you got to hope these guys lose this game, these guys have, a downfall. You're not hoping for that. You're kind of sitting, you control your own destiny. You're not the one that's looking on the, from the outside in. And I think this could have been a team that could have done that, but I just think with the slow start, not having Crawford, all that other, other stuff that kind of revolves around a coaching change, young players, new players, young players, older players clashing, not clashing well, not seeing what needs to be done. But this week has been really good hockey. When they were on that 8-game winning streak, there was times where I was like, I don't know how they pulled it out. They were just, it was luck of the bomb. I mean, they were getting lucky. They had a lot of power plays. They were cashing in the power plays, which really helped. But this has shown them that they don't have to rely so much on the offense. And I say this, but they scored 7 goals against Arizona, and they scored 5 goals against Toronto. But the point I'm saying is that they don't need to win games by, or the combined score of the game doesn't have to be 13-10 goals or whatever. How it doesn't have to be a high scoring game all the time. They've shown that they can win these games, these nail biters, these close games, the grinding back and forth. I mean, they did it in Dallas, the 2-1, 2-1 win. I think Arizona, I think they were just having a bad night. They're turning the puck over like crazy. The Hawks were all in, and I know they scored first, but that was just kind of a fluke, a fluke goal. But moving into Toronto, Keith gets that beautiful deflection off of Nylander, and it goes right through Bernier's pads and goes back to net. You can say, well, that's a fluke goal. Well, then they go on and score more. Okay, cool, wonderful. You go in, it's a 5-1 lead, or what I think it was 4-1 at the time, 4-1 lead in the third period. Well, then Crawford goes out with an illness, and you're like, okay, it can't be too difficult. It can't be that bad. Crawford goes out. You're up by this much. You got to keep the foot on the pedal. I mean, that's what they were doing through the first and second period. It was just their hands were on their throat. They had the skates in their mouth. They were going all at it. And then that third period comes, and I don't know what happens. It shouldn't have been a big deal that Crawford was out. You can't say that just because Colin Delia is out there doesn't mean that the defense goes to crap. Now, I'm not saying they had a crap ton of shots. They had like 29 shots in the third period alone, and that's a lot of shots coming in cold. That's just a lot of shots to face. And Delia's young, and you gotta kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's seen a lot of NHL time, but you're still young. You're not getting that full training there in the NHL yet. He is. I hope he stays with us. I hope he's our future. But you can't. I mean, we can't have a collapse like that. That's not gonna happen, because if it was a Nashville, if it was a Dallas team, if it was anyone else, that would have been a really, really bad game, going in 4-1, 5-1, and getting your butt handed to you in that third period. But going over the goals, Duncan Keith had 1 goal, Brendan Perlini had 1 goal, Alex DeBrincat had 1 goal, Brandon Saad had 1 goal, Donovan Cahoon, I'm sorry, I apologize. Cahoon had 1 goal, Perlini had 2 assists. Neesmith had 1 assist. Dylan Strome had 2 assists. Brandon Saad had 1. Eric Gustin had 1. Patrick Kane had 1. And Dylan Sakura also had an assist. Goalie stats: Crawford faced 18 shots, 17 saves, a save percentage of .944. 1 goal against. Calandria had faced 29 shots, and he came into the third. That's 29 shots he faced in the third period alone. He only stopped 26 of those, and for a .897 save percentage at 3 goals against. Now, the team leader in ice was Duncan Keefe at 22.56. Chris Kunitz had 4 hits. So, like I said, going that game, looking for their 4th straight win. They came close to coughing that one up, and good thing that they didn't cough it up. It was a game that, you kind of sat back and relaxed. It was like, okay, we'll just kind of watch this third period, and no biggie, no issues, nothing like that. And next thing you know, you're sitting there biting your teeth, biting your nails. You're like, this can't be good. It just can't be. And you hold your breath. There was that, I forget who it was. I think it was Seabrook. He had a nice little glove save that it wasn't back of empty. I mean, it was just an onslaught that Calandria had to have. There was one where Calandria covered the puck, and then he passes off to his defenseman, and it gets turned over and it's in the back of the net. I know it was like 17 seconds left. I wish. I mean, now that you look back on it, you're not gonna complain about it. But I really wish that Jeremy Collinton would have taken a timeout. The crowd was going crazy. I'm not saying the crowd wouldn't come back, but you slow the pace of the game down. I mean, Montreal was just hammering away. You want to kind of control that, bring everyone back in, not thinking, oh, they're in panic mode. That whole third period, they were in panic mode. And with coming down with 17 seconds, they're, will go away from tying it. You just calm down. They just need to calm down, and but in the end, at the end of the day, you look back, you're like, okay, that's a W in the back pocket. You take it and you run with it. You just sayonara. Don't worry about it. But that was just a lack of mental focus on their aspect of it, and it tends to happen. You're up by that much, and you don't think of anything. You're just kind of sitting out there, you're just skating, trying to blow 20 minutes away, and then next thing you know, everything just kind of goes to crap, and you're like, yeah, and let's try to regain our strength, and you can't do anything because you've been slacking off the last 20 minutes, But you take it and you leave it, and you just run away with it. So that's it's another W in the back pocket. Now, going back to the Montreal game, I know I've already talked about this, but we'll just kind of go back over it real quick. Goals by Connor Murphy and Brendan Perlini. Murphy has 4 goals. Perlini had 4 goals on the year. Perlini has 13 on the year. Assists: Dylan Strome. Alex Brinkett had 2, and Slater Cuckoo also had an assist. Dylan Strome is up to 33 assists this season. So is the Brinkett. So that second line is really starting to turn around with Perlini finally producing. That's been an issue. Perlini really hasn't been producing too much. So that's good to see them finally, catching fire. That second line is really becoming part of its own, as I should say. Then going into Crawford's stat, obviously, career high save for a shutout, 48 saves, 48 shots against for 1,000%. And the save percentage, Connor Murphy, 22 minutes, 32 seconds, time on ice leader. Murphy and Cuckoo both had 4 blocked shots. Murphy led in the hit department. Dylan Sakura had 4 shots on net, and Nismov had 75% in the faceoff dot. But just looking back at, you're not, if I would have started this podcast earlier, at the beginning of the season or in December, and I would be reading these stats off, I guarantee you it would consist of Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, and DeBrincat. Not saying that DeBrincat's a part of this, yes, but what I'm saying is the shots on goal would have been one of those 3. Time on ice would have probably, maybe not have been Patrick Kane, but he was playing a lot of those minutes. Faceoffs probably would have been Jonathan Toews. It's just looking back at all the people that scored goals, that have scoring goals, it's not the same people. It's different people finally getting the puck in the back of the net, and that's what's been missing. That you have a first line that is doing really well, a second line that you have those two, 1 or 2 players are helping out, but the third and fourth line they haven't done anything. But you're slowly starting to see that defensemen are helping out a little bit more. I'm not saying that looking back at all these stats here, I'm not saying like Chris Kunitz in the Arizona game. Brendan Saad's been helping out a lot too, but it's just different names. Just like Kruger getting assist in the Arizona game, then going into the Toronto game, Perlini still scoring, Donovan Cahoon gets a goal, Nismov getting an assist, Eric Gustin getting an assist. You're just seeing more and more people helping out, and it's just not the same 3-4 people that are scoring goals or getting assists. You're always getting that extra help. But then going into the stats here, throughout the week, the Brendan Perlini has the most goals at 5. Alex DeBrincat has the most assists at 4. Most points was Brendan Perlini at 6. Power play was 0 for 3. They still haven't scored. I think it's got to be close to six games now. They haven't scored on the power play. Penalty kill 6 for 7 at 86%. So that's good to see the power. I mean, I guarantee they're still dead last in the league. That's just a mountain to climb from. But I think Montreal, they had the most. My thing was, okay, they held it. If they held it to 2 penalties a game, they had a greater chance of winning. But once they hit that 3rd and above, it was just like there's a guaranteed goal. And when I was sitting there eating my dinner on my phone, looking at the box score and the play-by-play as my phone's slowly updating me on the game, I see all these penalties come through, and I'm like, here we go. Yep, that's how we're going to start the game out. Wonderful. Oh, they had 4 penalties? They killed them all off? I'm surprised. Like, that's something that just doesn't happen. And especially only giving up 1 goal, in the 3 games they had this week, and that was just a odd man rush that comes down and they shoot and score. I think because everyone was scrambling, they were just like, it just kind of all fell apart in that Toronto game. And that, you can make excuses, you can blame it on that, but that's kind of the way it was. But going into the goalie stats, Crawford had 89 saves versus 91 shots for a .978 save percentage with 2 goals against. Colin Delia in his 1 period had the 26 saves, 29 shots against, with a .897 save percentage with 3 goals against. Going through my 3 stars, I'm going to justify this one. A lot of you are probably going to rip my head off and say, well, why is he number 1? But as I just read that stat off, you can see why, and I gave that first star to Corey Crawford. As like I said, that's 91 shots against, 89 saves, in 3 games only giving up 2 goals. And you can say, well, he didn't play the 3rd period of the Toronto game. Okay. but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have stopped all those except maybe one or two. But that's 29 shots in a period, and he comes off, warm. And the goal that was against him in Toronto, I don't know if it was because he was ill, you know, it was just kind of it went off his pads and went in, and it was deflected a little bit. So you can't. He played a damn near perfect game being ill, and you can't blame a guy for that. But my second star is going to go to Brendan Perlini. I think everyone knows that he would be in this because he has been producing, but he's had all year, or at least since he's been traded, to finally show something he has. But Crawford's been out for 2 months and comes back. Besides that one game in LA, Crawford's been playing pretty well for us. So you can't really blame someone for that um, as much. And then Alex DeBrincat would be my third star of the game just because he is up there in assists. So he's been, helping out. It's just nice seeing okay, Alex DeBrincat, okay. When I say the same people, you know who I'm talking about when I'm talking about the same people. I'm talking about the Jonathan Taves, the Patrick Kane, DeBrincat. Yes, he's in that, but I'm just saying you're not seeing would I have ever thought that Perlini would have gone on this streak? No. I was one happy they just got rid of Smoltz. All right, I was just happy about that. I said sayonara, get out of here. And I was like, okay, Dylan Strome played with DeBrincat. That's a good thing. And then Perlini wasn't doing anything. I'm just like, why did we get this guy again? I. It was just he was just one of those that wasn't working out for me. He wasn't not saying that he didn't grind my gears. It was just that he was like, okay, we traded a Smoltz and got a Smoltz back. But he's finally been producing how what he could, his potential is. Like I said, everyone's young. I mean, we're a young team, and that's just something that I'll just go over right now. I want you to understand how young of a team they actually are. Just so some people don't look at the age sometimes, and you don't. When I say young, I mean younger than 25. Okay, I'm not saying they're a bunch of 18-year-olds running around. They're just a young team, and we don't have that presence of an older people all the time. But we only have a couple people. Like, see, I'm not gonna try to do the quick math off all this, but just listen to how many people are in the 90s. Okay, I was born in the 90s. I'm later, like 96. I was born in the 90s, so I'm 22. But just you're in that range of the 20s, the 20s, not so much up in the 30s as much. But Anisimov's 88. Drake Kajula is 94. DeBrincat's 97. Hayden's 95, Cahoon's 95, Camp's 95, Kane's 88, Kruger's 90, Kunitz 79, Perlini's 96, Saad's 92, Secura's 95, Strome's 97, Taves is 88, Dahlstrom's 95, Forsling's 96, Gustafson's 92, Keefe's 83, Cuckoo's 94, Murphy's 93, Seabrook's 85. Then you have Cam Ward and Corey Crawford, who are both 84. But what I'm saying is, all those people are in the 90s. I mean, some of them, yes, are towards the closer to the 30s now than they are the 20s. But it's still, you hear that and you think about it. there's a lot of people who are 23, 24, 25. Not a lot of people who are 28, 29, 30, 31. They're not up. It's a young team, and they're finally starting to click. They're just a young team that has a lot to learn. I mean, most of these people are, not saying, rookie year, but probably most playing time they've gotten. And it's just a matter of finally putting the pieces together, having everyone work as a team. But I will go over the standings as they are, far as this is what 2 o'clock in the morning Monday. I did a live stream. I didn't like it. It lagged. A lot of the audio cut out, so I redid it, and I said, screw it, I have to redo it. So going into the wild card right now, the Hawks are still fifth at 73 points. Okay, Arizona is at 78. One point away from jumping, Colorado, and we have those 2 games, so we can put them kind of, below us. Edmonton is right behind us at 71. Vancouver, who we are going to see here, which would be tonight, but Monday night at home. Like I said, if I don't want to lose that game. I don't want to lose any Western Conference games. Like I said, the Eastern Conference against Philadelphia is the only one that I would allow. I would say if they're going to lose one game and get no points out of it, that would be the game. But it's going to be a tough battle, even if they make it, because they're going to see Calgary. I guarantee they're going to see Calgary. Calgary's already clinched at 95 points. The Pacific Division has kind of had their way with the Hawks this year. I saw a stat on TV, and they have only won 2 games against the Pacific Division. So Pacific Division's kind of had their way with them. Besides Vancouver hasn't, they're kind of lower half of that. Ducks in LA. There's a lot of strong teams in the Pacific with Calgary, San Jose, and Vancouver, Vegas. But I mean, the Central, it's going to be a battle. They're gonna see St. Louis. They're gonna see the Nashville a couple times here in the later half of the season. Those are games that they're gonna have to win. I think a couple of them are back to back. They're gonna be tough games, and it's just a matter of them actually going out and winning those games is gonna be the big thing. But I'll go just a little. Just going into the NHL a little bit here. I'm kind of seeing who's all clinched. There's only 2 teams that have clinched a playoff berth, and that would be Calgary and Tampa Bay. But just the thought of thinking, keeping the fingers crossed that the Hawks make it. But if the Hawks do not make the playoffs, down in the description below, tell me who you think is going to take the Stanley Cup this year. I'm going to hold my pick until I know exactly that the playoffs are, set in stone and the Hawks are finally out of it. I just got to keep that hope on, that one goal, believe in us kind of thing. But that, that one goal thing, I really like that slogan. That's probably one of the better slogans that I have heard. You can take it multiple ways. Everyone has one goal, win the Stanley Cup. But you also have the one goal as, okay, take a game one goal at a time, one game at a time. You win this period. One goal makes a difference. In any game, one goal can make a difference. Even if you blow someone out 10-0, that first goal is a big difference. So I appreciate everyone when you watch this video. Leave a like, all the other good stuff. I will, hopefully internet works fine, so when I stream I don't get the lag issues and my mic doesn't always cut out on me. But I do live stream. Go down in the description below to my Twitch link. I also have a Twitter link where you can follow me when I talk about the Hawks, you know, anything that I see in the game that's special, like Pelini or, you know, shutout or something like that. But I also post when the videos go up. I know a lot of you probably say, well, this is a gaming channel. Yes, I do game, but I do like the broadcasting because that's what I am going to go into school for, is the broadcasting. So I want to kind of get my feet wet in that aspect of things and see how, you know, to kind of get used to being in a microphone, kind of running my own way through all this other stuff. But if you have any concerns, questions, anything like that, or suggestions as to what I can improve on, that would be great. Put that down in the description below, or in not the description, but in the comments, and let me know what I should do. And I can always do, if it's a live stream, I can do a little, like, last 15 minutes of the podcast, questions that, you know, we can have discussions about certain things, or even if you comment below the next podcast, I will talk about it. So appreciate everyone who watched the video. Like I said, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and hopefully catch you in the next one.